We are here for a very historic moment. I can promise you that you'll not repent that. Something very unique which took place in the last 2 years, and we did a geospatial chopal in Jim Corbett Park, and the result was a voluntary-based, what you call as crowdsource, a voluntary-based group of national champions willing to work together, and they came forward to help us build a national geospatial strategy for New India. This think tank has been chaired by none other but Dr. Mohan Reddy, who is known to be a visionary in our geospatial technology, but at the same time in IT and the nation building.
An honor and a privilege to chair this committee with luminaries that you see on the dais today. But it was a very interesting, impressive group of people. We sat together to produce this report. It's very comprehensive. It's very recommendatory in nature. I think one of the key recommendations that we have is, which is also probably aligned to some of the thinking that we have from the government at this point of time, to have an independent authority which will monitor the geospatial industry, geospatial technologies in the country. And the second one is we touched upon many areas. I can't sum them up at this point in time, whether it is to do with technology, skills, innovation, entrepreneurship, and the big lessons are the learnings that we have from other countries. Sanjay wants to take this forward, making sure that we also will probably continue to update it as time goes by. So thank you very much, Sanjay. It's been a great initiative from your side, and it was a pleasure working with all the people who are on the panel. Thank you.
Thank you. So today's panel, which is themed as Geospatial Strategy for New India. So we have eminent, stakeholders of our industry, community, and for the purpose of making it more, we have grouped them into 3 parts. The first part is the 2 pillars of Indian geospatial infrastructure, Indian Space Research Organization and Survey of India, who have the primary responsibility and mandate to develop geospatial data infrastructure, geospatial positioning infrastructure, and geospatial Earth observation infrastructure. They are the ones who have been mandated by the government to provide geospatial knowledge to us. So our first panelist is Mr. A.S. Kiran Kumar, Vikram Sarabhai Professor, Indian Space Research Organization. I want to celebrate this occasion publicly that last week, India launched the latest Cartosat 5-meter resolution, again back as the most highest resolution in the commercial domain in the world. So thank you very much, Dr. Kiran Kumar. He has been the lead designer and lead, in all the space programs. So we have the pleasure of having him, and we'll hear him very soon. Then we have General Girish Kumar, who is the Surveyor General of India. First is Vineet Goenka ji. Then we have Mr. Raj Kumar Khatri, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Karnataka. Someone who has the responsibility to build a state-level GIS and a state-level information system. Jagdish actually presents a civil society component. He works with the people on the ground, and he brings a lot of experience of serving the people on the ground in the sustainable manner. Dr. Mathuria, Executive Director, National Mission for Clean Ganga. And we have 3 colleagues from the industry. Pramod Kaushik, the President of Hexagon India, Rajan Iyer, the President of Trimble India, at the same time President of AGI, Association of Geospatial Industries, and Agendra Kumar, President of ISRI India. Just request you to make opening remarks one by one topic-wise, I'll invite, but keep it to maximum 5 minutes. So I'll start with our friend, Mr. Kiran Kumar.
What India has done over the last few years is trying to bring in from space technology the necessary inputs required for carrying out the activities on the geospatial domain. Very recently, we have put in a Cartosat 3, which gives us both panchromatic as well as in multispectral a capability to look at the Earth. Today, we also have a geostationary platform, which enables us at looking at India and surrounding India at about 60-meter resolution, and if you go to super resolution, about 30-meter, the capability of Navik constellation, which is now actually taking quick growth. The government of India is looking at possibility of tasking that any new mobile comes beyond a certain date has to be necessarily enabled with Navik. And then in terms of communication, to enable the panchayats to get the broadband required, we have the high bandwidth satellites. One of them is already up in space, GSAT 11, and the next one, GSAT 20, is going to come up very shortly, which will give almost like 114 gigabits capacity. So what ISRO has been trying to do is provide the necessary support from space by putting up appropriate instruments for observation in different wavelengths, both time and space, and then communication and navigation, and enable the geospatial industry in the country to do its necessary jobs. Thank you.
Very good morning to all of you. Survey of India, being the national mapping agency, we work under the direction of Department of Science and Technology. Geospatial infrastructure is very critical for any country, and we are mandated to create it and maintain it also. We have the positioning infrastructure, that is the basic framework for the country. And so far we have been using all our passive control works that we carried out Great Technometrical Survey 50 years. Then we switched over to the WCT4, and now we are switching over to the continuous operating reference stations, which will be all active control work. So far we have been planning, but now we have already started implementing it in the state of Maharashtra, Karnataka, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, and other states will follow one by one. Anybody who stands for a minute with a rover, he'll get the positional accuracy of 2 to 3 centimeters. And if the distance is more than 50-60 kilometers, then it may go up to 5 centimeters. If you talk about all infrastructure projects of the country, any development project, whether it's a highway, canal system, interlinking of rivers, or planning of urban cities, that positioning is very, very important. New vertical datum was launched last year. So we are doing extensive high precision leveling, that is one. Then we are carrying out gravity observation, and that is converting into a geoid model. Geoid model will be very helpful in converting your ellipsoidal height, what we get from GPS, to an automatic height where how the surface is or water flows. Now this activity again is very important because in most of the cities, and we see that a lot of flooding is taking place in the country, also flooding is taking place because somewhere or other, knowingly or unknowingly, the third dimension has been ignored. And I'm sure with this will be very economical, very faster, and very good solution once the geoid is done pan-India. We have already tested it for UP, and we are getting accuracy better than 5 centimeters in third dimension, converting from ellipsoidal height to the automatic height. Now coming to the Geospatial Foundation database, there is a requirement of very high resolution data sets in the country. Some require few centimeters, like we are working with the land records with the government of Karnataka, Maharashtra, and for urban areas it's required 5 centimeters. For rural semi-urban areas it's 10 centimeter, but for rural area we are going up to 12 centimeters. So how do we achieve this? So we have adopted new technology, like in the morning some of the panelists have said, until we adopt the new technology and we improve our processes, we are not going to complete this. And India is a huge land mass of 3.2 million square kilometers. How to cover that? Mountainous areas are there, jungles are there, forest is there. So what we have done, we have categorized these into 3. That is one where we'll generate data of a few centimeters using drone. We have already acquired and we are in a great way going ahead. Second is that where mountainous is there, we are extensively using geospatial technologies, remote sensing technology also. So with the combination of the two, we have already started rolling out maps on 1:10,000 scale, which we have been talking in the last 1 decade. It's one of the foremost for any country. So Survey of India is mandated to provide trusted data to the entire country. But skill development is one of the important thing which we have been doing for the last 1 year and will continue to do. Thank you.
Divided into three parts. So first we talk about geospatial data infrastructure, and we will actually take some questions as well. Do you think that Survey of India and ISRO are doing great for you, and what more you need from them?
I would like to request both ISRO and the Survey of India that can we simplify the language of geospatial technologies, which can help the permanent bureaucracy to also explain it to the people as well as to the political executive in a simpler manner.
What you are saying is very important. That's where one of the aspects this think tank also has pointed out, how to reach out to the different levels of, from officers to bureaucracy to the actual users, how the information is to be provided, how we need to take it to them is an important aspect which needs to be addressed, and this has to be taken forward. Because as an entity, if you look at ISRO's prime task is to develop the technology and provide the technology. And in terms of Survey of India, if you're looking at the maps and making. But the people who have to actually reach with the user community and interacting with them, they are the ones, and the user groups are the ones who have to come together. And that is where probably the need for entities like our Indian Institute of Remote Sensing, which is doing dissemination of information, and where they do also conduct a lot of training programs, that is where this activity has to be done. We have to pay attention to this. I agree with you.
In Maharashtra, we are working with the state government, and the Abadi areas have never been mapped in the country. So we initiated the dialogue with the government of Maharashtra, and we said that some part we have to do, technological part we will handle, but we need to bring the citizen also on board. So what we suggested, and they are doing it, they are organizing Gram Sabha, where the entire village is called, and they are explaining what we are going to do and how it is going to help them in future. That you will get ownership rights, then economy will unfold, you can take loan, you can repair it, you can sell it, buy it. So based on that, each and every village, they organize a Gram Sabha, explain to them, and then they do their part and we do our part. And this I explained to government of Haryana also, and they also liked it. So last 15 days only we have experimented in one of the village there also. So until we bring citizen on board and involve them and explain to them, and of course the decision makers have to be explained what are the advantages and in simple terms, because they understand how the country is going to be benefited, how our common man is getting benefited out of it. So we need to definitely translate technology and this geospatial services into simple terms and explain to them. I fully agree with you.
Yeah. So one colleague from the industry, do you have a joint question to the two agencies?
Is there any plan for using this data, what's being now done after that it can be used for commercial use, and public at large can benefit by entrepreneurs using it and developing their own applications in various areas like agriculture, mining, on those areas?
Yeah, one of the points is the government is also looking at how the agencies which are making use of the public funds, whatever data they generate, how to make that data available and accessible to the general public and also to the entire user community. Some policy activities are moving on, and I'm hopeful very soon you will see the results of that.
Thank you.
We have been just answer your from Survey of India perspective. What we are doing is that entire data is getting being sent to MOD for security vetting, and whatever data is unclassified, that we are going to make it available for government purpose free of cost, but for commercial purpose at a revenue sharing, either revenue sharing or the payment basis. So that is in our plan. The Department of Science and Technology has already taken a decision on this.
To water management. As on date, flood and droughts are recurrent problems that nation is facing. And one of the biggest impediment in dealing with the floods has been the non-availability of high resolution DMs for the entire country. I feel as somebody who is into the water resources that these kind of DEMs, high resolution DEMs, should be available to Central Water Commission I mean, it can be costed data or free of cost, so that they are able to do some kind of inundation flood forecasting, which is in fact a need and need of the hour for the country. So some kind of policy, some kind of initiative with the government in this aspect, Survey of India has to take.
We are thankful to the Jal Shakti Ministry and Namami Gange project. We have undertaken a massive project to map or to generate a very high resolution digital elevation model for the Gange.
And this is what the audience feels like. 25% of they say it is critical. So this is the audience poll live which you are seeing. General, what are you doing for this? And where do you think that ISRO and Survey of India are collaborating to strengthen the positioning infrastructure, which is not only the ground, but also the IRNSS connectivity, and making this data and position available to every consumer of this country?
We can see that 63% have said
now
very
it has
critical.
become 85.
Huh?
It's live. It has become 85. It's going absolute live.
Giving their opinion. This URS network is going to be very critical when it comes to any infrastructure development. As on today, like I said, we have the passive stations, and the passive stations you need to, if you want to densify or you want to take the further control inside the villages, you need to occupy 3 places. The 3 teams are required, and then only you can continue and then stand there for 2 hours or maybe 4 hours to get few centimeters of accuracy, and then you need to do the post-processing. But once this infrastructure comes up, which is like your mobile towers, we have already started. We have already started in Maharashtra, Karnataka and Haryana, and UP is going to commence in the first week of January. And I'm sure by 2020, end of 2020, Survey of India will be able to complete this CRS network for the entire country.
That is availability of global navigation system thing. For IRNSS inclusion in those activities, means work is in progress, but because we are having S-band as one of the main signals, so integration into the today's course equipment is not total. So today it's primarily dependent on the GNSS satellite signals.
If it is important, that then who should finance that? And it looks like that we put three options.
Traditionally, Survey of India should be investing into infrastructure, but because of so many other factors, we are adopting this middle path, Survey of India and the user departments, because they are the major users of this technology. Land records have not been updated for a few decades, and this is going to be one of the important factors in updating the land record. So now the state governments are convinced that yes, this is a good investment, and they are going to get definitely good returns out of it.
Do we see a kind of need for integrated geospatial policy environment? We have about 10 to 12 respective policies, and each one of them have a lot of value, and they have been made based on sectoral strategies. But in the digital age, do we see more of reducing the overlapping conflict of those policies and need for a integrated policy environment? We'll come to you later, but do you see from the users that there is a need for policy integration?
Working in silos, the various stakeholders are working in silos, and that would not lead us to the desired results. And as it was pointed out, and a lot of discussion took place in the think tank also, we do need an integrated and policy and convergence of the policies on the usage of the GIS, and the lack of momentum for using these technologies, and the push by the users it will only come with the collaborations and convergence. So where all the three, the government, the civil society, as well as the business community, all three have to collaborate. Yeah.
Just want to add, probably one way is to have a convergence policy. The other way is to see that the GIS bit is there inbuilt into all the other policies, spread out horizontally across all, so that there's better integration of GIS into whatever the water policy or agriculture policy that we can think about.
Acknowledge that GIS as a technology there is an underlying statement that there has to be an integrated policy so that different users are not working in silos. Everyone has its own priorities, own concept, the way he understands, but there has to be a policy statement which dictates that yes, this activity, this is the mandate, this has to be accomplished by this, say for example, Survey of India, or for that matter, NRSC, and then those kind of the database, because see, sharing this data seamlessly through all the user departments is one of the very important aspects which cannot be driven until unless there is an integrated policy which is adopted at the national level and in which obviously states are also partner. So very emphatic, yes, there has to be an integrated policy.
Yeah. It's very hard for industry to take care of so many different provisions. So how do we simplify the policy in this regard, sir?
No, actually, if you really look at what the government is required to do is to enable things, and industry, when it is delivering, if the industry comes out with the problems that it is facing, how to tackle, what problems need to be tackled, and if that is actually conflicted by a policy, then only policy needs to be done. Otherwise, governance should not be thinking of making policies for all the time. So they should be letting the things grow, and only when there is a real problem of a conflict coming, government should step in and bring in. But probably sometimes we are trying to expect too many things from the government, while the industry may be able to do the activity without that kind of thing happening.
It's sort of an obvious answer, but it may be, we all understand it's a very tough task, because the way we are structured as a government, federal government, state governments, but I think there should be some facilitating body which takes care of simplifying it for the industry, and things can start moving faster at a better pace.
When it comes to policies, KISS, keep it simple and stupid, right? But monitoring is very key. You know, you can have all kinds of policies, but the question is, can we monitor this so that there is compliance?
To generate data or to acquire data, to process data and to disseminate data, we need to have very simple policies.
So now it's questions come to users that what are you doing to make use of this technology?
I recall, I'm sure some of you would have heard about the district of Kodagu in Karnataka, that is also called as Kurg, which faced floods 2 consecutive years. And in the disaster management and the risk mitigation, and to build the disaster resilient infrastructure, we brought in the GSI studies on this. And on the positive note, we were able to relocate many people and save many lives second time when the flood struck us. If you take the usage of geospatial technologies, let's say in urban planning, I was involved in making the master plan for the Bangalore 2031, wherein we use the geospatial technologies for making the existing land use plans, which we discussed with the people on the, there were large congregations of more than 500 people from various wards of Bangalore. As and when it is possible, we would like to push more and more resources on this. And I believe if you can permit, I would also raise an issue of capacity building, which have been discussed at various forums.
We into the third component of this important panel. And the third is about industry and innovation. So I'd like to start with Pramod, if you can share your opening remarks on this industry and innovation underpinning value for the national development.
Starting with the sensor technology, so much is being impacted that you take accurate data, develop a smart digital reality today, going to the processing softwares which are having so much of AI and ML content being added into it to make the workflows faster, much better, and then finally reaching to more of a autonomous systems. So the trend is from automation to autonomous, and some of the things which are aiding this from automation to autonomous piece is handling such a huge amount of data. Cloud is of course a very big, seeing that this cloud piece is moving towards the edge computing. In terms of visualization, integration, there's so much going on. 3D visualization, 4D piece, 5D piece. So edge computing, AI, machine learning, you know, so, and AI is again, it's a very important buzzword, but it takes so much of time. Training your models, making your algorithms to train them, retrain them. You can't use one AI piece onto the other piece because every, would say, user has a different definition. So all these new technologies are taking and making a solid impact even on OEMs like us, all of us sitting here. And this has now become part of the overall autonomous ecosystem that is each, whether it's a smart factory, smart farm, it will be a smart, I would say, anything in terms of even mining, smart mines, you know, pit to port, the entire digital piece which is there. All these have to be working independently when they want to be. They're autonomous by themselves. But if you want to connect all these autonomous bodies or these systems working together, making them an overall, if they want to talk to each other, to make an entire ecosystem, they are running of their own independently, but as well as they're able to speak if they're required to make it a smart nation. And if you look at some of the live examples which we are facing today, we are talking of smart cities so much, you know, investment is going in, so many, I would say, organizations are working on it. We are working on this, so we have to create first a digital city, safe city, and then a smart city. All these trends are catching up, and we find more and more the RFPs which are coming on these smart cities, they are really having those signs of all these three things coming together.
Thank you, Pramod. Thank you very much. Can I have Rajan to deliver his opening remarks on this topic?
As we already saw, you know, geospatial technologies is becoming very critical. We need to create an information model around it. Basically, a constructible BIM is a digital twin of a physical infrastructure that we are going to build, whether it's a road, rail, bridge, tunnel, dams, houses, high-rises, whatever, right? BIM has traditionally been talked about as a design tool for visualization and data sharing, but more and more increasingly, BIM is being asked to be an aid in construction. So once I have a BIM model, how do I enable it to actually construct what I conceived? I think basically it needs to have three qualities for it to be a constructible BIM. One is it should be connected, which means the various stages in the workflow and the various stakeholders in the various stages in the workflow. So if you take a road construction from feasibility and planning to alignment to survey to earthworks to actual construction to operation and maintenance, there are various people involved. You know, there is contractors, subcontractors, owners, regulatory bodies, etc. A BIM of that particular road should be able to be viewed by all the stakeholders at various points in real time and be able to connect the dots. So if the change is made in, let's say, based on some survey, an alignment is changed, that should be reflected across into the design, the earthworks, and the construction stage. Similarly, when you have to operate and maintain and you have to do some rerouting or redoing some of the surfaces, that needs to basically work back into your survey and earthworks and construction again. So it's basically like a cycle where all stakeholders have to be involved at all times. So one is connected. The second is content rich or content enabled. This is especially true in case of complex structures such as airports, such as stadia, such as bridges, tunnels, you know, dams and so on, where before you construct, you should be able to visualize completely in 100% detail that particular physical infrastructure, either in a virtual environment or in a real environment. We call that mixed reality. So the level of detail should be such that it should not only be about design level parameters, but also actual construction, where you can detect clashes, you can actually see an individual light bulb being put in at the end of a runway. So that is the level of content that we need to do. And the third piece is, as I said, connected, content enabled, and to be able to go to the factory and basically take the design and manufacture it in the factory and bring it back to the field and basically assemble it. So that is what I mean by constructible. So I think these three are very important, and this enables you to create a digital twin of a physical infrastructure in real time, so you can overlay, based on 3 dimensions, you can overlay resources, cost, time, and so on. And also use technologies such as mixed reality to be able to view. So I think visualization, sharing, collaboration, all these are going to be important for the future of constructible BIM. I think that is the way to do it. So if you want to create a digital twin, and that has all the benefits of transparency, ease of operation maintenance, cost reduction, planning, and so on, I think everybody should buy into this constructible BIM technology in addition to geospatial. So geospatial is outside. I would say constructible BIM refers to the structure that is being built. So
Thank you, Rajan. Thank you very much. With this, I go to my last panelist, Agendra Kumar, but last but not the least important. He's very important.
Geospatial infrastructure is all that you have, your content, your applications, your people, your server, storage, whatever you want to call, you have at one place. And the idea here is to support all the users across the organization, get everybody engaged, and make sure that your individual people, organization, departments, everybody gets connected with that and make use of that. Integrated and distributed, it gives you all the features and flexibilities of using different technologies. It gives you analytics, it provides you different content, it provides you publication facilities, it helps you access open data, it helps in creating different applications and sharing that across the community. And it also delivers a lot of capabilities in terms of running projects, in terms of creating different maps, visualization of data, managing field operations and data collections, running different kind of analytics, bringing in data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all that together in one place, and create different dashboards for decision making and getting glimpse of what's going on. Now, what has happened over a couple of years, if you see, different technologies are coming together. Why this was not being talked about earlier? Because the compute power was not so easily available. The network bandwidth has grown over the years, and today we bring it to a concept of a hub where we can create a repository of content and data and information, and we can share that with different stakeholders. We can host the applications on that infrastructure and make it available to different users. So that helps us in creating larger engagement and interconnecting different communities together, bring them on common platform. So we talk about the concept of hub which brings together open data, different kind of initiatives, organized communities, give different kind of access to different people. So it's one centralized repository of everything. And I'll give you a couple of examples which are from India in a moment. And we can apply this concept to the urban area. We see a lot of work going on in smart cities, and we do have examples in India itself where the concept of hub is being used in urban applications. So here it's bringing all the projects together, how the progress is happening, what resources are available. So bring everything together at one place and share with different stakeholders. So the first example which I would like to take is about India Urban Observatory, which has been set up by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in Delhi. So what they are doing is they have hosted their geospatial infrastructure on a cloud. They have partnered with AWS, and their application and content is hosted on cloud. And they are able to bring content from all over, from different smart cities. They are, wherever they have sensors and other ways of collecting information, they are bringing it together in that urban observatory. And what they are able to do there is compare the progress of projects from one city versus the other, compare the traffic patterns or number of accidents in one city versus the other. And this can be taken up for various other features of the smart city. So it's a place where all that content can come and analyzed. The second example I would take is about Bharat Maps. It's a very good example of a geospatial infrastructure. It's like a hub where they have their own infrastructure, and they provide all the content, and they host applications which are being used all across different departments of government. And the third example I have is about Bharat GeoHub, which has been established by Survey of India. It's also a good example of hub. The objective here is to gather all the content from different state and different central government departments, bring it to one place and share it across with different other departments and ministries. So that's all I had. Thank you.
So you saw that how the technology is actually simplifying everything. It's not actually complex. The three colleagues from industry talked about technology, and it is empowering information services, which Dr. Raj Khatri also talked about. Is the best value which we get is in delivering services to the people. So now is the time to have questions from the industry.
I still feel that after about 2 decades plus, this technology being here in different forms, still it's a very niche area. So how do you see going forward in the next 1 decade, the options of opening up more startups or collaborations?
In this, I would say, what you call is niche industry is having more secular view, having more information, getting more democratized. We get aligned, I would say, to more of these mainstream IT applications, work with larger consultants, who have been working with the government departments to go to those so that they got influenced and then they indirectly influence the government officials. So the ownership has to go to the user departments and our job remains to make it very, very simple, don't complicate it.
Most of the time we get stuck with the import and export business.
I think making GIS available at education institutions is the most important thing. If we popularize that at school level and also at college level, not only for geoinformatics or civil engineering, but for every discipline, because as we have discussed today, geospatial technology is relevant for whatever discipline you are in. So unless we start teaching it to every student, irrespective of the fact that whatever they are studying, if we do that, it will help a lot in making this available, easily understood, easily adopted by a wide section of people.
There's a great deal of skepticism in sharing data. What is the industry doing about improving the trust deficit on data privacy? That's the is there any serious thinking around it?
There are two kinds of data. One is what you create yourself, so that remains in your organization, that's your property, and you should be able to keep it under your control. And second, the data which you use from outside, which is usually aggregated. When anybody collects geospatial data for use for a variety of commercial application or running analytics, that data cannot really be pinpointed to a single individual. It's aggregated, it's put together, and you use the inferences which come out from that data. So there we do not have so much of concerns of privacy because you cannot identify who does it belong to. But within the organization, when you build those applications, I think you need to be mindful that you share with external world what you think is appropriate, and you build controls in your applications appropriately. And most organizations do that. If you take an example of any large organization in the country, any large government organization, they will open some data which is open, which is actually called open data, which they feel quite safe in sharing with anybody at all. Second kind of data could be what you share with different government departments, and third is what you use totally inside. You don't share with anyone. So I think enough checks and balances have to be built into your geospatial infrastructure in terms of security features and controls to manage this properly.
Absolutely, to second what Agendra said, we take data privacy and data security very seriously because we offer solutions as software solutions as licenses, software as a service, pay-per-use, across a wide variety of industries, survey, mapping, agriculture, telematics, construction. And we apply the same global level of global standards in terms of data privacy and security, and we monitor that. We work with AWS and Azure both. In addition, private cloud, in addition, on-prem networks. So we have all these variety of network infrastructure that we manage. And we manage our own private, our own data center. So in all these cases, we actually actively monitor data privacy and security with the highest level. So it's very critical because if we lose our customers' confidence that their data is going somewhere, then we lost their business. So, yeah. And I think I want to add that we do randomize data collection. Anytime we share anything with a third party, it is completely randomized and secure.
Thank you. So, Vinith, you want to have a quick question?
There is no bill. If you can get my mic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there is a difference. The difference is my accountant versus his accountant. His accountant, when I say he, all the private sector, they have an accountant who measures things in two parts. One is the top line and second one is the bottom line. How much volume of business you do and what is the savings which you have. And I've been hearing this, and then you see what, the resultant is more people died with malaria post the vial was invented, the solution was invented, because those who had the control of the patent said, we will not give it to you till you pay for it. People today die, more people die for cancer, even when there is solution for cancer, because they cannot afford the thing. His accountant, his means private sector's accountant, measure things in the top line and bottom line. My accountant measures things in the increase of lifespan, decrease of pain. So can I request if the industry can arrest their greed of top line and bottom line and share their inventions and their good things with the society of large, so that we can and increase happiness.
Sir, they will become NPA. If they start doing this, they will become NPA. Another liability for your government.
And you know what is the funny part, Sanjay? When they make profits, they are capitalists. And in India, when they make losses, they take the socialist route and they come to government, please bail us out, and we bailed 70,000 crore rupees.
No, I agree. The point here is that their profit is their shareholders and your profit is public good. So everybody is working for profit.
I'm just requesting them to arrest the greed to bring it little down, not that kind.
So you can negotiate affordability. That's what he's asking. If you give me a volume, I can be better, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Anyways, Girish, your question.
Not question. I just wanted to add what Jagdish was asking, that why when these softwares will be affordable and usable. We, along with the ISRI, we have developed a portal, two portals. One is the public portal and second is the G2G portal. In that portal, we have provided certain tools for a common man in public portal. Like if he wants to do some basic analysis and basic work, he can do it without even uploading his data. He can do it on his desktop, use the certain tools. So we are making it simple for any common man to use it. Similarly for G2G, we have developed dashboard for departments. It means they don't have to really go for procuring or buying expensive softwares. But if they want to do some advanced analytics, advanced usage, then definitely it is required. But for day-to-day functioning, dashboard is there, simple tools are there, and they can use it. So definitely that some shrinkage between the bottom line and top line is happening slowly and slowly.
What do you think and how do you think that this enthusiasm can be converted into national asset and national strategy? So starting from, sir.
No, I think it's really very heartening to see that there is so much of enthusiasm in adopting geospatial technologies for the solutions to the problem. It's a very good sign, I would say.
Thank you.
From National Mapping Agency point of view, we need to do a lot to make it more enthusiastic and user-friendly database and make it available also.
Means that technology is taking over political decision making in this country, and that is a good sign, because now there will be informed decisions rather than taking decisions out of emotions or out of compulsions.
But the mismatch between the software and hardware seem to be in sync, but the humanware and the orgware, somewhere there is a gap. And once we fill up the gap and also bring in some process re-engineering, not that just we implant the technology on the existing processes, that would lead to as you said, a momentum which could result into a national level usage of this.
But I do believe that innovation is in the heart of human spirit, so there's no doubt about it. The second thing which I want to mention about it is the Prindex survey that I was talking about, how rural people feel insecure about the land. Half of the people who said that half of them they feel insecure, half of them tried to do something by going to the governments, getting their paperwork right and all. So this is a considerable opportunity for governments to fix it. It's not 260,000 legal cases on land, that's not a joke. So I see it as an opportunity, a big area for governments to work on GIS and technology and land-related matters.
Thank you.
It is the time when geospatial technologies are increasingly finding way into everyday's application infrastructure projects. And Mami Gange happens to be one of the examples. So I think there is a lot of enthusiasm also. There is a bit of skepticism about when it comes to evidence-based applications.
The impediments are in terms of governmental policies. I think maybe we should make geospatial technology as a technology of national importance, and maybe give a 10-year tax holiday, and so you can basically create a demand. While there is a lot of enthusiasm and the brain power is there, the implementation is slow because of a lot of impediments in terms of cost, in terms of time, in terms of basically not having the skill set.
So everybody is enthusiastic, and I think there are a couple of things which will facilitate utilization more than what it is right now. And the biggest one I think is the content part. If the content can be available for various government departments and also for the private sector organizations where I see a lot of challenge, so then that enthusiasm will result in a lot of fruitful results and a lot of good utilization of technology. So I think that's one challenge which we need to find a solution for.
Thank you very much. I think this was a great panel. I felt that today in this panel we found great spirit of cooperation, collaboration, competence, collectiveness, and comprehensiveness. With these words, I would like to close this panel and thank again to audience for having very proactive participation through the audience.